And we're back for some yellow science. I will be replacing this station this time. So I'm going to go ahead and start by just tearing down my source. And the train stop, well, we are going to have the train stop exist until I've built the train on the other end. But I can certainly orphan it. Like that. So that makes it clear what's going on there. And this guy is, well, let's set him to yellow. I probably should color everything up properly. It's not that important because these test stations will be going away. But it makes it pretty. Purple, yellow, and fuel. And we see that my station names are just, as I've discussed before, they are the material that's being sourced or material that's being sinking in the word for and the material eventually produced. And packs, I just say packs and the things associated with where the PAX station is. So there's my PAX train when I need it. So we're going to do our yellow build, and we decided on a 7-wide, a 7 large power pole span. 7 by 30 is 210. Which is, I think, just less than a radar. Since we're largely not going to be using radar, that doesn't matter. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So here's the center where we're going to build the yellow science array. And as with the infinite sources, all of our outputs are going to be going to the left, and the outputs are going to be on the station to the south, with outputs going left and trains returning from the left. And the station's going to need to be wide enough that it can drop stuff. We need a 1-1 train here. Now I probably could have just copy-pasted the station from there as my starting point, but yeah, I didn't. So let's start building our station here. Now he is going to be yellow science, so let's poke that in right here, and we are going to set him up for nice bright yellow, like that. And our unload is going to be going north. Excuse me, I am loading from the north into a 1-1 train. Come on, power. Just like that. And our signals are going to be a chain signal on the left, because in theory this merges with other things. In actuality it doesn't matter, but if I build all of my stations the same way, then things are consistent and beautiful. So now we give ourselves a way to get from our drop area and give ourselves a way to get to the research park as well. Now that's actually a bad place for him. Notice how this is conflicting. So if I scooch it over to the right a little bit, scooch the whole thing over to the right a little bit, I can actually place these. I'm going to place the station at the center point. There. And I was off by 1. Of course I'm going to be off by 1 because we don't have complete freedom of control over where our stations land. We are off by, yeah, we're going to be even odds, so this is good enough. So we've got stuff coming in from the north. I do want to buffer before the train, like that. We're going to buffer up 1 row. Actually, let's buffer up the same amount we're putting in the train, which is 9 stacks. So yellow will buffer up to 9 stacks, producing while the train is out. When the train comes back, it will fill all 9 stacks into its train, and it will head out. So in theory, this will allow us to fill an entire train, and then the train will bop out to the other end and drop it. So if we were totally saturating everything, the train would be going back and forth, grabbing a full load, dropping a full load, grabbing a full load, dropping a full load. So yeah, that should be good enough. So now based on this, we need to place our factory. Did I include anything on my thing? Okay, so I have building things here for laying out a factory. This is great. I've got stack inserters, I've got mini loaders. What I don't have are my assembling machines and my beacons. And I don't have my modules. So we're going to put in speed and productivity modules here. And for power, I'm going to see if I can use substations again, because I really like substations. They give me really good coverage. And there we go. That's all on bar number 2. Now, if we were to just say we're going to force that, and obviously we're going to have to tune where this is. This is going to produce yellow science. Well, let's put it into Factory Planner. Okay, so I'm going to build a factory called Utility Science, and the icon is going to be a Utility Science pack. There we go. It has a product. This will be provisioned to build yellow science. Remember, we're provisioning for 1,000, and we're going to be throttling to 900. So all of our builds use 1,000. Click on that. We are going to be using assembly machine 3s. We are going to be using productivity modules. We are going to be using 8 beacons covering each one. And the module here is a speed module 3, like that. And we can see that the factory planner tells us we're going to require 15 machines in this configuration, with the imports being processing units, flying robot frames, and low density structures. And if we do this in wagons per minute, notice that this is like 1/10 of a wagon per minute. 1.7 wagons per minute of LDS. So LDS is going to be Interesting. I'll have to bring that in 4 carts. Okay. Robot frames and processing units can be in 1-1 trains, but this needs to be in a 1-4. Even with a 1-4, this means every 2 or 3 minutes we've got another full 4 carloads of LDSs, because the LDSs only stack to frickin' 10. Anyway, it is tempting to do my LDSs on premises. So what happens if I do that? If I did LDSs with assembling machine 3s and full productivity modules and the same beaconing with speed beacons, I would be placing 30 LDS machines, 31 LDS machines for my 15. This is about 2 assembling machines per yellow science. This is tempting. But we would still require 2.5 carloads of copper plate instead of the 1.7 of LDS. So building this on premises would be interesting, but it wouldn't save us any traffic. So let's get rid of that. And in terms of belts, is there a place to configure belts? Import, export, move, duplicate. Oh, all sorts of cool stuff here. Minute productivity, 30% is good. What if I solver to use? We're going to need to use the matrix when we get to doing the oil. And I'm thinking that I have that oil build that I was using, the one that I grabbed from Nilaus. I may simply bring that in and just keep stamping that down until I have enough of them, and then set it up so that maybe it doesn't crack if we don't need to. In fact, the modifications that I've already made in my builder base may be what we need. But if I go to Matrix, it does say that sometimes needs additional configuration. Let's take a look at this. Matrix solver does not need additional configuration. That's good. Let's check the preferences while I'm here. My preferred fuel is going to be rocket fuel. And let's see, preferred miner, there we go. Let's get all those so I don't have to reselect. I am not going to be doing barreling and stacking. I'm not going to be using recycling. Shows whether the ingredient demands of recipe are satisfied. The recipes below them. That's good. Round up the numbers. No, I want to see fractions for now. I can round them up in my head. Adds a column with a checkbox to disable a recipe. Well, let's add some annotation stuff here. Module defaults. Primarily, I want to use productivity when I can and speed when I can't. Beacons, I want to use speed always. Specifies how many beacons each individual machine for a new recipe will be reflected. Let's do 8. And blue belts. And okay, it sees that I have creative mod, and it gives me the option of saying plan super beacons. No. Preferred wagon is, of course, cargo wagon, not any of the creative mod stuff. For general settings, go to main menu settings, mod settings, factory planner. Let's do that. As long as we are here. There should be factory planner. Probably in per player. Factory planner. Open close button, interface width, interface height. Select an action when alt-clicking any item or recipe button. What it is really used for is what I'm doing. That's right, I put that one in instead of FNEI. default time scale is going to be a minute. We're going to do everything in terms of belts, and I prefer the matrix solver. There we go. While I'm here, is there anything else I want to turn off? Make sure it doesn't do that. Boom, boom, boom. Save last moved entity. That's good. Dangerous and cheaty. Ignoring collision boxes. Yes, I agree. Logistic request or auto request. Turn off the sound for handy hands and enable crafting with multiple products so I can have handy hands build me the stuff that I want. Okay, options are set up. Well, that was a bit of yak shaving, but now we know that our machines, we need 16 machines, we need productivity modules, and we need speed modules. So let's set that up there, and boom. Okay, so there's that. I don't know what the power is going to look like yet, so I will just snap some stuff in like that. There. These guys are going to have to move around eventually when I get the design built. So he has 3 inputs and an output. And probably the easiest way to do that, given that I want to avoid belt weaving, I don't want to weave undergrounds, because if you have red and blue undergrounds weaving and you ever hit it with a upgrade planner, recovering from that is so hard. So we want a design where I have 3 inputs and one output, so 2 inputs coming up. Actually, no, our inputs are coming down from the top. That's right. This makes it easier. Which means I am pushing to the outside and pulling from the inside, like that. Max rate calculator in terms of stack filter inserters tells me that I am doing a substantial fraction of a stack filter inserter, but I'm good. And in terms of transport belts, we'll know the transport belt requirements once we get all 16 set up. Or we could go to factory planner, and we could say in terms of belts, I'm not sure whether this is total belts or... Yeah, okay, so this is... If my blue belts carry 2,700, and half of that is under 1,400, yeah, we are able to put any one of those on a lane. So one lane each. That's good. And just for funsies, I will set up that. So there's 2 machines. Make this symmetric. I'm thinking that we will end up with these here. 4. There's 8. Now, I need 16 machines. I would prefer not to have 16 machines all in a row. 8 and 8 seems like about the right mix for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mirror this. These guys are symmetric, so I can just turn this around and plug it in here. And here we go. So there's our build. And for power, it is tempting to reverse these entirely, because the power naturally sits in this lane. I can't do it with one power station in the middle. But I can do it with a, well, we'll just plant it and look at what it looks like. Like that. So if I put one here, yes, that works. Let's set our power up here and here and here and here. So four substations gives me complete coverage and lets me totally overkill on the input inserters on the left. And now these guys come together to more to the point, the outside lanes of them come together. Oh, and this gets me my peel the outside lanes for free. Oh, isn't that cute? Okay, so pick this up. And we can plant it right there. So later on, when I start making much larger builds, I will have to have my module factory on the rail network and set up a station to pull builder trains in to pull in modules and possibly other things. But for right now, I can bring a PAX train in. I have no PAX stop yet. So, we have trains, and we have one PAX station, and we are going to say, you, please come to Papa. Because I need to go back to pick up enough materials to build the rest of this. Whoops. And my PAX train decided to go elsewhere, so instead what I will do is set up a temporary PAX station. There. Back to this guy. Hello. Add station. PAX yellow. Weight condition is circuit condition. And get his color set right. Now I need to go back to the mall to pick up enough materials to finish this build. So that is going to be belts and inserters and so on. I think what's missing are the modules, which I have requests for. Yeah, let's get that refilled. I can go to 1,000 speed while this is running, and we pick up everything and go back to PAX Yellow and go to 1,000 speed because this is a very large base. It takes a very long time to get from A to B. The other thing I want to do is make sure that I am fueled, because I didn't set up fuel here. And I should now have enough stuff. So yeah, we are done building. So in theory, this yellow station, this yellow build, should have all of the proper outputs. Wait a minute. He needs to be a mixture of two things. He needs to be a mixture of two things. And these guys need to have something inserted on their input sides, like this. And we can get rid of there. And let's go ahead and set these up to be like that. I like to have the edges here be one belt per item I actually need. There we go. So now I need train stations for the 3 input items, and these will eventually come from a supply rail up here, which is going to supply all the parts needed by all of the science builds. So at some level, our factory planner is going to need to take all that into account. So really, that needs to go into a sub-factory, and what we need here is our science layer as the factory. So we right-click, control right-click to delete utility science, and I'm going to create a factory called science layer, and the icon is going to be I'm just going to use a check mark as the icon, and we are going to have the products. I'll set up all of the products here. And we will build them in sub-factories. So how do I move this into a sub-factory? Left click, open a subfloor. So he's on level 2. Okay, so I have not done this before. Left click, open a subfloor. So we now have a subfloor for each one of those. And this is showing the ingredients for the whole factory, which is not good. Oh no, this is good. I need the ingredients for the whole science layer at the top. That's correct. Okay, so we'll just add production science. We'll add our things here as we're building them, and in the end we'll have all the ingredients we need trucked in. And we can do it in terms of belts or wagons per minute or whatever. Go to the top. And it's left click to open the subfloor for this guy. And if he were going to be building these, let's say I was building flying robot frames on site. And we have that here. and I go to the top, and we don't show it here, but we do show here. And I should have nothing here for flying robot frames. That is correct. If I click that off at the top layer, we do see that now I'm importing them. So that works. I don't need to add all the products right now, but I can add them as we go, and it will work. The other thing is, how tall do I want to make this for the next thing? This is something I don't usually do. I don't like constraining the length of my factories, but perhaps now is the time to, put a plan down and say, well, it's going to be 7 of these tall. So if I am 7 wide, so 1, 2, I have this, I have 6, 7. So from here to here, and then it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So here would be the center point of the next one. So what we really have is a cell which is 7 big power in a row. I am going to lay that out really quick. I can take 7 big power poles like this and remove that stuff. So from there to there, and now if I go up, I can lay that out. That out. So we really are going to end up building city blocks here, even if we don't, run the rails around every corner and, polish it up and everything, but we're still going to be using a block-based grid. And of course, by locking ourselves to this grid, this means that if I ever need to put in a junction, we now have obvious locations for the junctions to exist. So now if I were to grab this whole thing, and let's keep only the power lines. Oops. Keep the power. Like that. And snap to grid is going to be a little bit bigger because it's going to include everything here. And what I want is 7 by 30. A little bit of math, that's 210. Why is this doing 182? 1, 2, oh, because I am not I'm not taking up 7 wide. I am on a 7 center. So this is 6 wide, so it's 180 wide. Okay, so I'm doing a 180 cell wide, 180 unit wide cell. That's fine. So this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is the length. That gives me one of these on center and one of these on corner. Okay, so not as big as I was talking about earlier, but still plenty big enough. I should be able to build anything in this space. And if I can't, then we're just going to divide it down. So this is my space. And what I want to do is when we have long traverses like this, I will do that with belts. So keeping the belt going like that. Yeah, which means that the stuff on the top is going to be rails again. Okay, create blueprint. And this is a relative snap to grid. So if I do that, if I place it a second time, notice it has off by 2 because I didn't fix this 180, and I did leave one here. I can leave this one in because this shows me where I'm going to be putting my factor. So my factor will grow from this guy, and this icon needs to be big electric pole and it is quite possible what I'm going to want to do is include some rail at the bottom on this. So let's grab the whole thing here. Yeah, let's include the rail at the bottom and a station. Why not? We will not grab the train stop. We'll grab this whole thing. I'm going to remove the factory, of course. The undergrounds go away. Those go away. Where did I put lamps? Oh, that's right. There's lamps down here. Any other lamps that are doubled up? There we go. We're going to kill off the inserters and the belts. I think that's what I want. Okay, so this is big electric poles and a station and wires. And we are snapped to grid. The grid is 180 by 180 and relative. We have the rail down to the south, stuff heading to the left. Let's see what this looks like now. So this will give us a loader and some power, a pair of stations, the PAX station. We haven't saved the names, so it won't automatically stamp down a PAX station and a station claiming to be the source of all yellow stuff. And here's our outline. If I were going to make this work for a lot of stuff, I would probably add more crap at the top. I'm thinking that for most of our cells, this would be a good start. If we really get big, I can always compress this guy down below, because we don't need to do all of this. We can put him down here and we can have him come in. So the only limit will be how quickly we can curve this around and then get back down. So yeah, if we find ourselves constrained by this space, we can give ourselves a little more. So now let's save it. Which of these can go away? Well, satellite belt markers are no longer needed. This is no longer needed. That is no longer needed. That is no longer needed. All these temporary things. That might come in handy. These train loaders, I am not going to use them. if I do need to do loading from bots, I'm going to use the mini loaders properly. And there we go. So now let's try it out. We align it with the existing station. There. And I think no, if I set these names, it will confuse anybody using the old names. Even if I set them to something innocuous, so I plant it more than once, it's going to have more than one copy of that innocuous thing. So we'll just set these up here. And there are 6 kinds of science. So we can rough this out, and I am betting that we'll be able to fit all of our science in these guys. And if I did this right, I can use Farl to set up my my rails at the top. It's going to be a trick to get Farl to synchronize with the existing grid. I'll have to be very careful about that. Anyway, back to our yellow science. Have to move slow so our bots can catch up. So let's go to game speed 3. So temporarily, I won't normally want to join from one to the other, but temporarily I'm going to set up the junctions so that I can get Farl up there. Rail T junction. And a rail 90-degree turn. And now I can call Farl down here. In fact, let's send him home. Well, let's send him somewhere useful. And they'll bring Farl down to Pax Yellow. So from here, Farl will head north. I will have to join it up with this guy and head east. And after I have laid this out, I will work on stations to feed my materials coming in, and then we'll lay down the stations to run the testing for me. Actually, what I'm going to want here is a T-junction. Because I'm going to bring my infinite creative mode stuff in from the left. That gives me a place to put it where I can delete it later easily. T-junction, T-junction, T-junction. If I was a T-junction, where would I be? I would be here. There we go. Hello, Mr. Farrell. Let's go back to speed 1 and manual, please. If I've done this right, I have tried this before, and you've been, whoops, error activating drive on straight rail, oh, right. I wasn't quite on straight rails to start. Okay. And yes, it is putting in the wires for me. Good, good, good. So if I put the wires in here, we're going to stop that. And I can establish the wires like that. There we go. Let's build off to the left for a bit. Now the left is going to look something like this, but down in here. So that's just going to be a mess of infinitely productive stations. So we don't really need to furl that out. Okay. Start. You run him across all the way through all of the stuff, including stuff that hasn't actually been placed. That's all right. Now from here, it would be good if I brought it all the way out to the vertical. So let's do that. And when we get there, I'll back up and place a T-junction, so we now we'll have a proper connection on the right. See, once we get each one of these layers going, so for instance, once we have all of the science being produced, we can take that rail network which just carries the science, and as long as I have a way of getting fuel delivered onto that rail area, nothing else will ever go there. So then the question becomes, how do we arrange that in the best way possible? T-junction here. And I need to get some more rails from Farrell. There. So we're all set. It could very well be that as long as we have some way of getting fuel in here, no other trains are going to want to get onto that particular route. We'll need fuel and PAX access, nobody else. I wish I could set up a rail that said only the following trains can go through here. There may be a trick I can pull to make routing from one of my sub-rail networks to another be expensive. Let's turn off power here real quick. Okay, so Farrell, let me head back to Pax Yellow. What the fuck? Okay, so it decided it wanted to go down and loop back around this way. Oh, because I'm only coming in from the left, I need to come in from the right for the PAX station. Okay, the other alternative was a train coming from the right would have to go all the way down to Science, turn around and come back out. That's only for PAX, so I'm not too worried about it. But that means that for PAX, my preferred entry point will be on the left. Let's see, for fuel, this guy takes fuel from wherever, because it comes in here. Well, it comes in here. Yeah. This will be pinging fuel from the right beyond Science somewhere. These are likely to join back up to the top here. Yeah, okay. Okay, Farrell, you can forget about this station and head back to parking. Let's call the PAX train in. So now we need to have unloading stations for the various components of Yellow Science. And we have some yellow stations. We have some unloading stations. I need a 4 for unloading my LDSs. And the other 2, I only need a 1. But what we can do is we can use this layout here, and I can replicate it but only keep 1 car. We pick up that much. Actually, let's pick up all of this, because that's going to be my LDS outputs. Okay, so we keep the train and the train stop names, and there's going to be a temporary blueprint. So we're going to have 3 trains, and this guy is sending 2 belts south. I'm going to put the LDSs in the middle just for fun. Actually, what do I put him like this? Yeah, let's put this over to the right some, and we'll think in terms of what we need to do here to get this station. Well, no. We can... I keep dithering, I really do, and I just need to bite the bullet. Okay, so I do that, and I will just put these around however they need to be. Fine. We're gonna have to get some fuel in here. Fine. And And 2 of these trains only require 1 belt output. Well, they require 2 half belts, really. What are our quantities again for yellow? Yeah, really 1 belt with buffering, and we don't need to put it through the logistics center. This guy does need to be merged. These guys don't. Let's see. There's no reason to compress that in, but I do want to trim away all of this faff. Not sure how those are going to shake out. So, this is going to require 2 of these guys, like that. Oh, and I'm going to need a fuel station in here too. So 1 more of these. Now, as it turns out, if this is as small as I think it is, these guys can be right next to each other. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the fuel train here and have it supply fuel, and I'm thinking that we don't even need to do that with a okay, there we go. Obviously I'm going to need more trains, and well, wait, no, do I? I do need more train stations. Okay, so how many train stations am I requesting? I need more than that. Let's get 2 stacks of train stations next time I go back. So this is LDSs for yellow science. You know, I placed a bunch of train stations I didn't need. Let's get rid of them. Yellow science inputs are LDSs and robot frames and processing units. Where'd that E come from? This is robot frames. And processing units. And fuel. Give them each 1 fuel so they can stop blinking at me. Okay, so these guys are going to come out, and this guy is going to see if he does this. Like that. And now we put in like that. There. Well, that's unfortunate. What if I bring him out to the left? Yeah, I could do that. That actually makes this nice and symmetric. And buffering. Buffering is in steel chests, because we do not need anything more than that. Buffering quantities. Let's see, this would be 714 of these guys is 71 stacks. So this is 2 steel chests are full. With these guys, I think this is 200, so we only need to have, say, well, we want 5 minutes of stuff. So 5 times this is 500, is going to be 2,500, so 10, 12, 14. Let's do 15 stacks. And, well, hell, let's just do 15 stacks of each one, and we'll see what happens later. And he will just buffer up as much as he can, because we don't have enough buffering. We can never have enough buffering for LDSs. These guys need to be set to requests of 2. I believe that is all set. So there's that. Something I hadn't thought about is these do need to have train parking. Pick up the whole thing, including trains and train stop names. Thank you. And now kill it off. I'm going to make that a little bit over to the right. Say here. And set up some linear parking here. Let's see, was it here? Yeah. working. And we are out of rails, which means 500 rail is not enough. Okay, time for me to go get refilled so we can continue planning. See, now I'd originally thought that I would have this done in maybe half an hour, including not just what I've done here, but all of the stations hooked up and the test stations hooked up and tests put in place, which shows you that I am exactly as good at estimating time in Factorio as I am at estimating how long to do software projects. Yay, retirement! Okay, get myself refilled. And I'm going to drop the science packs. I don't think we're ever going to pull them out of the main base, but in the future maybe we can drain them somehow. I also have a whole lot of blueprints here that are temporary that I need to get rid of at some point. So let's go back to Pax Yellow. So why are my bots not building the trains? There we go. So you control exit and you control X to pick it up, and then control Z to undo what you just did, and it mostly works, but it seems to have problems with some of these. Not a clue why. Okay, so we should now have all of this stuff for yellow sitting here in the list. Yep, boom, boom, boom. And come back together there. And these will always be going, well, our infinite stuff is going to come from the left, our real stuff is going to come from the right. Which means I do have to put in exit to the right and exit to the left. And let's boom, boom, boom. And that should be good enough. So we're not going to allow anybody to leave the station unless they have a clear shot all the way out into the next segment of the horizontal rail. We have the same problem on the input. We need to be able to arrive from left to right. This is going to be too close to this left. I wonder if we can make a might be able to make a figure 8 style Yeah, that'll keep things far enough apart so that our trains aren't going to be having serious problems. Bring that guy in there. Oh boy. So people coming from the right are going to be coming up through here. People coming from the left. Can fit in here. Yeah, I don't really like that. It's quite possible that once we get everything going, I will rework how that junction works. I think that's safe. But I'm not totally sure. So let's take a look. So this guy needs to pick up from LDS and drop at LDS for yellow. And this needs to be LDS for yellow. So why isn't it showing it? There it is. Why is it there? And this is going to be empty cargo and 5 seconds of inactivity. So if I were to try to go here, it would now give me no path because the only LDS source is down here. So we're going to need an LDS source off to the left. Oh, and looky here. Oh, we didn't get any of our unloaders. Okay, this guy is RoboFrames. So we need to have so marker up here. This marker is going to remind me that I still need to build one of these. And one of these. Oops. This train now needs to move RoboFrames. So we're going to pick up. So we're going to, things are sorted down to the bottom, I guess, if I don't have a path to them. So where did my RoboFrames go? RoboFrames for yellow is there, and just plain old RoboFrames here. Full cargo, inactivity, and then RoboFrames for yellow is here. Empty cargo, inactivity, and kill that, kill that. He's going to go get RoboFrames when he can. For now, he's got no path. This guy's the same thing, but for blue circuits. Blue, full, inactivity and. I need blue for yellow. And we need empty cargo, inactivity and kill, kill, and go. So heal no path. And finally, this guy is rocket fuel. So there's several rocket fuel. Oh, apparently one of them is accessible. And it's probably somewhere, yeah, it's going to be down to the left. So this is not not going to be the one I want. I will put a rocket fuel up here. But the train isn't going to be selecting which one it wants. So we're going to have to work out how we want to rough out things like rocket fuel that are going to be needed in a lot of places. It could very well be that we simply have the trains go get from wherever. So rocket fuel, full cargo, inactivity, and then rocket fuel for yellow science. There's rocket fuel for white science. Here. Oh, come on. Add weight condition, empty cargo, inactivity, and delete, go. That actually works out fairly well. It means I can get some rocket fuel in and have my things fueled, even though we don't have the sources for the other stuff. So now let's plummet down. All comes down here. There are better ways of doing this. So I'll bring down the two I want split, and we'll do one of these. That's got that. And now we need to have, we need one line of this stuff which gets split two ways. So if I've got that, that makes it kind of difficult to jump over. There we go. It's the one on the far left that has the highest requirement. So these need to come down and around. So in theory, this fuel should also be provided down to here. So let's bring a fuel line down. There, and something very similar here. I do like making sure that my PAX trains also have fuel. Now, with that in mind, if I'm going to set up a PAX station here, how about I set up the PAX station here? Because I'm fairly sure I can make that match up. Eek. Oh, that's better. There we go. Okay, so nobody goes in unless they've got space. So I am not quite low enough to grab from there. There would be as low as possible. Yeah, and that would allow PAX to come in from the right without... Yeah, that would allow PAX to come in from the right without allowing the other guy to come in from the right. Yeah, it's looking more and more like a separate PAX station. So I will keep the PAX station I've got. Good enough. It does mean we'll be coming in from the left, but that's all right. So what are we missing here? We still don't have our sources for infinite inputs for these three. So the infinite stations are going to be placing their outputs on this line. Because I don't know the sizes, I will just assume that somebody might be wanting as many as, well, let's start off with four carts of stuff. And the first stuff I'm going to do is well, let's just copy paste the first stuff. The first stuff is down here. It's my LDSs. So here is an LDS station. I'm going to start here, and we'll just copy the whole thing. Actually, let's hold down Shift so I can get the whole thing, including the train stop name. And what I'm thinking is that for this area, I'll put a PAX up above, so we don't get any confusion there. Okay, so there's an infinite source for low density structures. And indeed, we have 3 trains that are looking for that stuff. Well, we will have 4 once I fill in my other stuff, because we do need 2 trains delivering. So this gives me this. I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and set this up to allow for a second train. Here. Yeah, that's big enough. And a third train. Is that right? Boom. Interesting that that's back by 1. Okay. Whatever. So I want now to lay some rail out to the left. I only need the upper rail, so we're just going to do this manually. This is a snap to grid relative 30 high. This is actually, I believe, my grid width. Okay, so I'm using up slightly over my normal grid width for this area, but we are not going to be expanding this direction because this is the science row, and we already know all of what's going into the science row. So that would be where I could put it if I wanted to put the grid at its maximum extent. Yeah. Let's bring it in from the right and go to substations. So the next line, I am not going to be capturing the name, but now I'm just going to be laying these out like that. So the grid size here is indeed proper. That's a whole bunch of them. This will allow us to send trains up to 4 long into any of these. Snap to grid, relative height is 4. And I'm going to have to figure out some way to power all of this. There. That kind of is set up. So here would be where we would put it naively, but I'll put it here. So you need to bring this back to fit between the rails. And then stripe this in. We're just going to pull this entire thing out. This is a lot more than we will ever need. In fact, it is enough more than we will ever need that I'm going to kill from here down. In fact, let's just keep the first one. Yeah. Starting here. Overkill is a thing. There. So we can replicate these, changing only the thing being produced and the name on the stop. In fact, let's not have the stops here at all until we replicate it down. Yeah, we'll just build these one at a time as we need them. And clearly I'm not picking up enough undergrounds. So let's set this to 150. And just in case, I'll do the same thing with splitters. There. So remember what I said last time about these being kind of junky? Yeah, let's simplify the heck out of this. Just pick up all of that crap. Except for him. Can't bot these down. That is so irritating. I can't even place them like that. I guess they really do have to go onto a belt. Yep, they do have to do that. And you still have to put them down manually. Okay, well there's the build. And we'll just replicate that down as needed. Now he needs a second train. that in place, we can remove this. Next one is RoboFrames. So I copied the station from over there and I pasted it into here. And now we pick up this guy. Let's put him on manual. And he needs RoboFrames. Where'd they go? And I could copy them out to the left, but I can wait on that until I actually have a train longer than a 1-1 that needs them. And we can actually bring our second one in right here. Boom. 5 seconds. And I sent him off to the wrong place. That's okay. He will be back. Okay, so RoboFrame stop is done. And now blue chips. Come on. I really do need that, because getting these to activate is still being a pain. Copy the train. And he will want to fill up. I think I need one more fuel train, and I need a fuel station on the left. So fuel is different. It's tempting to put fuel up above. Yeah, the problem is right now anybody that coming in here has to head through one of the stations. So let's just do fuel normally. And this power prevents us from coming out. So I need to find another way to sneak power in here. Let's do it this way. Okay. I literally do not know how to peel just that one segment out. So with these set up, I should now be able to build all the yellow science. Okay, these are going to prefer the close station, and close station has capacity too, so we're good. Now with this going all the way down here, and I screwed the pooch on this one. I mixed up my inner and outer lines, so these are supposed to be the merged, and these are supposed to be the ones that aren't. So now I need to drain all of this stuff. Okay, well, I will need to delete a bunch of stuff and drain all this stuff and then undrain a whole bunch of stuff. So let's start with putting some of those in place and having some roboports in range. And I'm going to put all of my construction bots in there, so he's going to make it. I'm going to turn my stuff off. And the easiest way to drain all of this and to rebuild it is just to kill it all off. Like that. And place it back down. So, it didn't place it back perfectly. And now see this filling with just yellow science, which is absolutely what we want. So now we've got a problem. We've got a whole bunch of stuff sitting here in our logistics chests that we don't want. We would prefer to filter it back in up here. And the way we can do that is having input priorities like that. And like that. And like that. And I'm going to just let bots do all the work for me. Where did they go? Well, there's my logistics bots. So I need all of these inside the logistics network. That's easy enough to do. And this is going to grab all of the those and that one. Okay, so we will be building the yellow science preferentially from logistics network until that's drained. And I believe we're all set here. I'm going to turn on the benchmarking and let it drain things through. And to do that, we need to enable creative tool recipes and start researching void technologies. Here we go. And now we start filling up on yellow science again. Let's take a look at just our yellow science production and consumption. So we had some which we burned through. These are all the science packs that were downstream from the throttle, and now we are running at precisely 900. And our production is going to waffle back and forth because we'll produce at maximum rate until we have filled up our backlogs, and then the train will move and we will produce at a slower rate. Well, I'm not sure why we're even producing at a slower rate. We should be coming to zero. Okay, we do come to zero here, I'm betting. This is 1 minute, and okay, we slough off as everything backlogs, and then we come back up. So this is actually very nice. So how are we doing on draining this stuff out? LDSs are still here, so we should not be using any LDSs from the top. And I missed that one by putting it on the wrong input priority. There. So what do we have left? That's not a whole lot of stuff. I can carry that. So I can go ahead and pick this stuff up with my personal bots. And now our yellow science is built and at homeostasis. So when we dump our stuff into a train, we'll immediately start draining things down. So these machines will trigger from the top to the bottom. And then when it fills with its 1800, what will happen here is that we will start backing up, and from the bottom to the top they will stop running. So that's why we have the ramp up and the ramp down. And it's sufficiently expensive. It does take a while. So now let's go back to the main base so I can shuffle all my junk to the main base and refill. And I believe that has shown that we are now at 900 per minute production of the utility science pack here. And that's our yellow build done. I will be back for purple shortly.